Okay, if I could get your attention. Thank you. So we're going to get started. I'm holding a mic, but not because you really need it here, but we're also and there are some people joining online. So hi, online people, and welcome everybody here. And are we ready, David, to rock and roll? Okay.
David, Donna, and we're pleased to be hosting this event along with the support of San Diego. San Diego just like down right there. That's Tracy. And we want to welcome everyone in attendance and those being online.
Or watching the replay.
Plant-based healing is little known secret in our society, but it's a powerful message that needs to be shouted from the rooftops and broadcast loud and clear, and you can help us spread the word. Those of you attending in person received a goodie bag, right? And I'll point out a few items that you might use today. So there's a notepad, pencil if you want to take notes in case we say something brilliant, right?
Or in case you have a brilliant thought. So in the handouts folder, there is a schedule. The times are approximate. As you can see, we didn't quite start on time, but that's fine. But we'll keep to the schedule as much as possible. And we've allowed for a little transition time as you move from the classroom, aka our living room, into the kitchen and back again. So, and during the lunch break, just feel free to wander about and enjoy each other's company and enjoy our gardens. And David spends hours and hours. It's like this man cave outside out there. So we love to share it with people.
And we had to pry 2 people away from the garden to come into the talk. So thank you for joining, Joan and Lynn.
So we're also, during lunch, we have the silent auction going on. So we'll talk more about that. Oh. So there is a list of auction items for those of you who are here in your goodie bag. So you can see what the items are and see if you want to bid on anything.
And the savory spice blend is posted at the table where you will assemble your own spice blend. Right after lunch, out there, Elizabeth, who's not here yet, she'll help you make the spice. It's from Dr. Greger's How Not to Buy Cookbook. And you take your own jar home, spices.
And you have a printout just in case you want to read it. Keep your raffle ticket in a safe place, because we'll hold the raffle after everything else is done so that we can take our time and have fun with it. The raffle items will range from 99-cent items. Did you buy those? To some really nice things. And when we're done, if you really want to exchange your raffle items with others, you're welcome to do that as well.
So did I forget anything?
How about restrooms?
So there's 3. There's one downstairs on the left by the laundry room, and there's another one at the top of the stairs which goes straight across the landing. And there's a third one through the master bedroom. Turn right at the top of the stairs. That's important. So, and probably when we're recording like now, it's better to use one downstairs instead of running up the stairs.
Good point.
And now a word about our sponsor. So this event came together with help from a lot of different people, and companies donated things for the auction, for the raffle, and for our lunch. So I want to run through a few of those now. So Veg Appeal is Tracy's company, and they're donating quinoa salad for this, and what else?
He's also doing a presentation, and you can talk more about what you do, because you do a myriad of things. So thank you for being.
And Liz Gary, this event was her idea, and she's from New Options. She couldn't be here today, but and then Vegan Coach donated online.
Liz
Oh,
does.
Liz did.
Right.
Vegan Coach is online and it's a great website. I'll talk more about it during my cooking demo. But she donated 2 online cooking classes. They really look good.
One is about cooking with sauce, which is kind of important when you're doing plant-based eating because sauces take all the different.
I think it's called Getting Saucy with Salad.
I think it's getting sauced.
Oh, maybe.
If not, it should be.
Yeah. And then Sharp donated the goodie bag. Natural Delights is contributing part of the lunch. Lumeria's got, we have gallons of coconut zen tea for the lunch.
So good. It's my favorite too.
It's awesome. Mission Square Market is a unique little market off of on Mission Gorge, and it's all vegan. It's got a vegan deli, soft serve, and all the products in the store are plant. So it's pretty amazing. Little mini mart. My brother Steve List donated a gardening basket. He's just a horticulture. Bigfoot Cafe in North County in Carlsbad donated some
Gluten-free muffin and a gift card.
And Elizabeth, who's not here
Yeah.
yet, is doing a presentation, and she donated some artwork. And
America's Longevity Health Clinic. She donated some treatments. She's actually a doctor, a good friend of ours, and she donated some blood analysis and biomeridian analysis.
I am Amaranth. There's Amaranth, and they donated bags that you got in your goodie bag.
Snacks. So if lunch isn't enough and all the things we're serving, you have snacks.
And Plant Power, there's gift certificates from them. Sips and High Street are owned by the same person, and they donated gift certificates. We've got some granola. It was donated by Love Granola.
You have that in your goodie bag too.
New Face is facial rejuvenation for the basket there. San Diego Soy Dairy donated 10-pound slab of tofu. So we can give some of that away.
We'll need to cut that up and give it away. So.
It will also be in chocolate mousse for lunch. So get in shape with some bars that are in your goodie bag, and there's 2 massages that were donated, and WFPB chef
Stands for Whole Food Plant Based.
Roberto, he donated some spaghetti plant based, and designs was Donna Jacobs. She's sitting in the back there. He donated a lot of art. It's on the display out in the other room. So anyway, we want to thank all the sponsors. They're really helping put this together. So there's a desk right in the hallway. You check out, take a card, whatever you want. Anything looks interesting.
I want to say a little bit more about New Face. It's my good friend Carol Cole that has this company, and it's a machine that actually tones your muscles. It's pretty amazing. So, and she donated lots of products, big basket full of things. That you get one of those little machines. It's mainly for face, but you can probably put it on other places too. On your thighs, maybe. You do your own treatment, and then she also donated a facial treatment with her, and she's the owner of the company. It's a nationwide company. They also have the new face machines in places like Macy's and places like that. So it's really cool donation, and that's one of the donations that came forward. We didn't even elicit that donation. Like, oh, you're doing this? Oh, I'll give you a basket. And also we have some wreaths in there that a good friend made, and this was that are really nice. joy. Let's have some joy. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, David and Donna, for having me to speak on mindfulness meditation. It's an honor to be part of this event that's going to help everyone live longer, healthier, and environmentally sustainable lives. And I love incorporating mindfulness into topics because it's a key foundation of really optimizing your health. My name is Joy Parks, and I am a certified mindfulness meditation instructor under the guidance of the senior meditation instructor, David Nickern, under a Buddhist lineage. And I'm also a certified health and wellness coach to the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute. And my focus is on adults. So I work with clients of all ages individually and through group classes, but my focus has been on helping adults and seniors to age mindfully. I started this journey as a coach recently within the past couple of years. I realized after I had turned 40, even though I had always been fairly healthy, I grew up in Colorado, always been active, I'm a runner, half marathons are my race of choice. My diet was pretty good. Throughout my life, I've suffered chronic health issues, and I've suffered through mental health issues too, anxiety and depression. After I turned 40, I really dug deep to look at if this is good as I can feel. And I realized that there was some elements missing. And we all have people to support us on our journey with our health and wellness. We have doctors and therapists, coaches, and that's not to say that there's no value there, but I realized I wasn't really empowering myself and engaging in my own best health and wellness journey. And that's when I realized that I had the tools within myself to empower myself. And even though I've been meditating for 10 years, I was missing a key component of the mind-body synchronization. I wasn't really fully engaged with what I was consuming and how it was making me feel. And when I exercised, I wasn't fully engaged with how did my body really feel when I was pushing hard, or maybe I wasn't pushing hard enough. This was a big disconnect. So after I turned 40, I really sat down and I realized that the mindfulness component was really supporting my health. And it was such a big impact on me that I took the journey to health meditation. So that's where I'm at. I really,
Hearing my story one more time, we'll tighten it up a little bit. Okay, thank you everyone for being here this morning. Thank you, Donna and David, for having me to speak on mindfulness meditation and the power mindfulness has on healing and empowering ourselves with our optimal health and wellness. My name is Joy Parks, and I'm a certified mindfulness meditation instructor under the guidance of Senior Buddhist teacher David Nickern, and I'm also a certified health and wellness coach through the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute with a focus on working with adults and seniors. I am a more recently certified coach and teacher, and I started on this journey of becoming a coach about a year ago. And the journey started when after I turned 40, I really realized that even though I've been healthy most of my life, I'm a runner, half marathons are my race of choice. I've always had a healthy diet, what I believe to be a healthy diet. After I turned 40, I really started taking a deep dive into how I was feeling and wondering if this was as good as I could feel. And I realized that there was an element missing. The big key component of what was missing was the mind-body synchronization. I really wasn't connecting with what I was consuming, what I was putting in my body, and what I was putting in my mind, and how it was making me feel. Throughout my life, I'd suffered chronic health issues, I'd suffered mental health issues, anxiety, depression. And it was when I sat down and I really realized that even though we all have people to support us, we have doctors, we have coaches, we have therapists, those are all valuable people in our lives to support us. We also have within ourselves the tools to support our own healing and our optimal health and wellness. And that component is the mindfulness meditation portion. That has really helped me to add mindfulness into my health and wellness. And that is my goal, is even though I work with clients of all ages, my focus is on helping adults and seniors to age mindfully. So this morning, in a few minutes, we're going to start the day off by having a formal seated meditation practice just for a few minutes. And I think this is a great way to ground us, center us, and bring us all together to really be present in this moment. And before I tell you a little bit about the practice, I want to share a story with you through my my meditation teachings. I love it, and I think it'll really bring to light what it means to be in the present moment. So the story goes, there's a monk who lives in a village surrounded by the jungle. And one day, the monk decides that he wants to go for a walk through the dark forest. And as he's walking, he realizes he's being stalked by a tiger. And the only way to escape the tiger is to go to a rocky cliff face and climb down. So the monk runs to the cliff face and he grabs a vine and he starts to climb down. And as he's climbing down, he realizes that there's a tiger below waiting for him. There's the tiger above and the tiger below. And as he's holding on to this vine, deciding what his next move is, a mouse starts to chew on the vine. And it slowly starts to unravel. And as the vine is unraveling and he's falling down the cliff face, he notices a beautiful patch of wild strawberries growing on a vine. The monk sees it and he says, "What the heck?" He grabs the strawberry and he eats it, and it's the best strawberry he ever has. So as the vine is unwinding, he just pulls the ripe strawberries and he enjoys every bite. So some may say the point of this story is to not get distracted by ripening fruits when everything is falling apart around us. But the real point of this story is that we all have the tigers above, our past, and the tigers below, our future. But we can all enjoy the present moment. It might be the only strawberry we have. And that's what it's about. It's about being in the present moment and engaging with what's there in front of you. And because we're talking about healing, health, and wellness, I want everyone here to realize that you can all be here today and enjoy every bite of the delicious food that's been prepared for you. And the folks off-site, just engage, be present, be clear and grounded, and just don't worry about future moments, the tigers down below or the tigers above your past. Just be in the present moment. And that's what mindfulness is. The definition of mindfulness meditation is placing our attention on the present moment by focusing on our breath and simply seeing what arises without bias or judgment. One thing I want to clarify with this practice is it's not a relaxation technique. It's not a way to clear our minds. And this is something that is impossible. Our minds are meant to think. We can't clear our minds. And it's also not a way to get to a blissful state. It's all about being in the present moment, just being here, experiencing everything that's happening for you now. So what's the problem with our minds wandering and thoughts arising? I've had people ask me, well, it has to serve a purpose, these thoughts that come up for us all the time. This is just how it is. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have a choice. We can't stop our minds from thinking, but we can realize that we are not our thoughts, and we can step back and just see what's coming up for us at that moment. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to share with you a practice that can really help ground you and stabilize you. And I want to say too that it's very important in order to see the real benefits of mindfulness to have a seated practice, and it only takes 10 minutes a day. And I encourage all of you, I'll share with you the exercise that you can do every day for 10 minutes. And after a week, see how you feel. We'll see if it can support you. So there have been scientific benefits that have shown that mindfulness can support us. So it's more than just, a simple, it can help us relax and feel a little better. It's shown that mindfulness can support your mental health, and it can actually change your brain health. It can reroute your neurotransmitters and support you with a fight or flight response. It's just a really powerful tool. And it also has shown that chronic illnesses such as heart disease and diabetes also respond favorably to mindfulness practices. And the ones for me that really hit home are the management of stress and anxiety and the body-mind synchronization. So it's really, really deceivingly simple practice of sitting here and placing your attention on your breath with really, really powerful impacts. It is a practice that's rooted in ancient Buddhist philosophy, but you can be any religion or no religion at all. It's just a mind-body exercise. So it's really accessible to all of us to practice mindfulness meditation. So in just a few minutes or just a few moments, we're going to sit and share this practice together. But again, I just want everyone to know that this is just a time to be present here. I think we can all be very hard on ourselves and judgmental and constantly letting our minds wander to the future and the past. So just to share in this moment and be here together in the present is really powerful. And there's also power in being in a group and doing it together. So let's talk about how do you practice mindfulness meditation. You've all been given a digital copy, I believe, of the mindfulness meditation exercise. It's a 3-step practice, so you can all try this at home. But the 3 steps are simply, number 1, taking your seat. Number 2, placing your attention on our breath. And number 3, when thoughts arise, which we all know that's going to happen, it's impossible to clear our minds. A really quick statistic. It's been shown that we have more than 50,000 thoughts in a day. And researchers have found that almost half the time those thoughts are not connected to the present moment, which means they're just thoughts that are coming in and out, coming in and out. So sitting here together can really bring you back to the moment. So what I'd like to do now is have everyone prepare for a seated meditation. If you can, just sit upright if you're comfortable doing so. Just move your back from the seat of or the back of your chair. You want it to be tall and stable, not leaning back. Your feet on the ground. Just take a moment. So we'll go into step 1. Taking your seat. And taking your seat is more than just sitting down. There's power in creating this container to be present in this moment. Roll your shoulders back. And pretend that you have a thread pulling from the spot, your spine up to the top of your skull, just pulling it upwards. If you feel tall and stable, if you're a king or a queen. And with this practice, just so you know, we do not close our eyes. This is so we can maintain awareness with our surroundings. We want to have the awareness of sight, sound, sensation of smell. So what you're going to want to do is gently tuck your chin in and have a gentle downward gaze in front of you. I'd like to say 4 to 6 feet. We're in a smaller space, but whatever feels comfortable for you, and you can blink. But just a gentle downward gaze. Just maintain your awareness of everything that's going on around you. And with your hands, you can just place them palm down on your thighs or your knees, whatever's comfortable for you. Alternatively, you can put them on your lap. I like to do this when I'm sitting down. It's just kind of loosen up next to your side and then just place them wherever they land naturally. Some people have longer arms, so it goes to their knees. Just place them on your thighs or your knees or your lap. Next, taking your seat. The second step is placing your attention on your breath. With this practice, there is no special way of breathing. It's simply the natural in and out cycle of your breath. Breathing in and out, knowing that your breath is always here to serve you. You can always go back to it. Breathing in and out. Which brings us to the 3rd step. The 3rd step is when our minds begin to wander, which they're going to do. It's just acknowledge the thoughts, the feelings, emotions, the sensations that are arising for you. And go back to your breath. Go back to your breath. As many times as you need to, it's always a fresh start. Go back to your breath as many times as you need to. So I'd like everyone to just stay in the seat and breathe. And step 3, be gentle with yourself. Be aware of what's around you. Continually go back to your breath and let the breath act as an anchor. And what we're going to do is we'll sit for 5 minutes And I'll let you know when we're going to start, and then we'll check in with everyone when we're intersecting. I think we're okay with time for a 5-minute meditation.
Sure.
Okay, guess everyone, let's get started. I apologize, I usually have my meditation bell. I did not bring that, but I'll sit starting now. Just please prepare and just be in the moment. And just breathe. Let your breath support you. And acknowledge thoughts that arise. Just let them pass. Back to your breath. everyone to begin to return. Present moment, just take a few more deep breaths and we'll end our sitting meditation together and just continue to breathe. Stay in the present moment. And you always can go back to your breath as many times as you need to. Always is here to support us. That's going to be it for the mindfulness meditation formal practice. But I want you all to know to utilize mindfulness when you are here today and when you're sharing conversations with each other and when you're eating. Remember to mindfully eat, tasting each bite. Really being present with it. It can really support you. And to end the presentation, I just want to let you know that I am a local meditation instructor too. If anyone's interested in talking to me about classes or one-on-one coaching, I'm here to support you. And if you have questions about meditation too, I'll be here throughout the afternoon. And I'd also like to offer, you'll find a card in your goodie bag. I'm offering a complimentary discovery session. It would be a 30-minute Zoom session or phone call where I could answer any questions you have or help you build your own meditation practice. So I'd love to chat with you. And you can also sign up to be on my mailing list. And you also receive additional tools. I won't spam you. I only offer information on classes I'll be teaching and tips and tools to help you with meditation and wellness. And you can connect and you can take a picture or I can show you that link there. And I want to just thank David and Donna again for having me here again to support you all. So thank you so much. Oh, one more thing, sorry. If anyone wants to sign up too, I didn't have a card, but if you want a session, I'll have this on the table. You can just give me your name, your email, and connect afterwards.
So next
Guess
up,
what?
yeah, is everybody comfortable where you're sitting? Because you're going to move.
We're going in the other room.
It's time to
We're gonna have a
Go.
snack.
go have a snack. Tracy's going to feed us some strawberry yogurt and granola. So.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a 5-minute break now. And then we're gonna be in the other.
Right.
So this is our wonderful friend Tracy Childs, who's a mover and a shaker in San Diego in the plant-based community. And she's volunteered to give us some wonderful instruction on how to make a strawberry yogurt with yogurt and granola and bananas and all kinds of good stuff. So we figured it'd be good to do a little bit of a break and have a little bit of food, and then we'll do our presentation, and then we'll go into lunch. So
Yeah.
take it away, Tracy.
Yeah, we had a whole discussion about blood sugar and who eats breakfast and who doesn't. And he's a big breakfast eater, and I'm a kind of like get hungry around 10 o'clock person, 11 maybe. I don't know, smoothie, okay, not a big breakfast. So anyways, we figure, especially if you're following a plant-based diet, you're kind of always hungry. Just kidding. Always ready for food, right? At least my husband is. So, so yeah, I just been following this lifestyle actually since 1990. I'm going to be giving a presentation, so I'll tell you more during that. But so we just kind of wanted to do something quick while you guys are standing. But again, my name is Tracy Childs, and this is what I do. I love food and love talking about food. And I love plant-based food, and I love just introducing people to new concepts and new ideas on things. So for instance, yogurt, right? Yogurt is what's it normally made with? Milk or cream. Lately it's been Greek yogurt's been all the rage. I don't know what that's made with, but that's not something I eat. I've been following, like I said, a plant-based diet for a long time, but this is actually kind of an interesting take on it. What it's doing is kind of creating something that has the consistency and taste, but it's not actually Well, the vegan yogurts are a lot made with like soy milk or coconut milk or like a milk base. So it's still going with the milk, right? Or something creamy or a milk-like substance. And I do that too. I actually make yogurt in my Instant Pot. You guys, anybody familiar with the Instant Pot? Yeah. It actually has a yogurt function. For those of you who don't know, it is a pressure cooker. It's really great for cooking beans, soups, stews, things like that. It's electric, but it also has a yogurt function, and so you can kind of make yogurt, and overnight you've got yogurt. It's pretty cool, and it's really fast and easy. Yeah, so easy. So, but to tell you the truth, I prefer this. It's much lighter. It's not what you call a protein base, but coconut isn't either. So, and tell you the truth, I've never really been a fan of yogurt. So, but I like this. So this is kind of what it is. It's a take on the smoothie, but it's like the smoothie if you let it melt. You know, smoothies are usually super cold and made with frozen fruit and things like that. And this one is a smoothie, but kind of letting it sit overnight actually, and also adding some things to kind of gel it up and give it that consistency. All right, so I just washed my hands. So you guys I think are going to get the recipe, and you online are too. But and I got this recipe and this idea from working at the Dr. Furman's Eat to Live retreat. I'm a chef there, and we're always coming up with easy breakfast, especially things that we can make the night before and serve to the guests the next day. And of course everyone's looking for that, right? Something that we can grab quick for breakfast. So that's the concept that goes with this. So it's just you can use bananas. So the bananas are the sweetener here basically, and there's fruit. So just bananas, and bananas also, when they get blended up, you guys have probably noticed that they kind of have that smooth consistency similar to the yogurt kind of feel. And so you can use frozen bananas or just fresh bananas, but you want them to be fairly ripe. You don't want to use green ones because you are, of course, sweetening of that. And we know how bananas, the range of flavor that they have. So
There's 2 bananas you have?
there's 1.5 bananas. And then always use frozen fruit. I don't know why, but we've tried it with fresh and it doesn't get the right consistency. And everybody knows too, when you put things in the freezer and they bring them back out, they're similar to what they were like before, but are they the same? No, they're not. Like vegetables, fruit, they've all changed a little bit. In the case of fruit, they've usually become a little more watery and just a little different. So this is just like Costco organic strawberries. So go ahead and add that to your blender. Then we're wanting something to make it a creamy kind of consistency. So we're using hemp seeds here. Now you can use, it's 3/4 cup, and you can use some kind of like soy milk or coconut milk or hemp milk or whatever. But my trick is just use water and hemp seeds. When you blend those up, they become milk, and you don't need to blend them separately. You just blend it all together. So that's my trick with that. And hemp seeds are a really good source of plant-based protein. They're a good source of omega-3 fatty acids. So that's a lot. So we hear about those a lot, right? And what do people associate with omega-3 fatty acids? Fish, right? Fish. Well, we don't want to put fish in here. I don't eat fish. But this is organic hemp seeds, and you blend them up and they're amazing. So the other thing we're going to use is flax seeds, but I'm going to go ahead and get some water. So how much water you add can depend, but you want just something to get the motor and the blades running. And then the other ingredient that's necessary is ground flax seeds. Who uses ground flax seeds regularly? Oh, good job, you guys. So flax seeds are amazing. Like they also are a good source of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids. So the thing with the fatty acids, omega-3s, is basically we are getting too many omega-6, which is almost everything else. That all the fats that we got, the vegetable fats, are from omega-6. There's also omega-9. But like olive oil, safflower oil, a lot of any fried foods you're eating are going to be really high in omega-6s. And just a lot of other fruits and vegetables will be high in omega-6s. And so, where a lot of us are short on the omega-3s, we just don't get as much of that as a balance. And omega-6, if you get too much, it can be damaging to your heart. So basically, the way I look at it too, though, is you really want to try and just not eat a lot of fat anyways. I'm going to talk about that in my presentation, not getting away from oils and things like that. But if you eat like I eat all whole foods and no oil. And when I eat fats, I try to make them kind of balanced and higher, and try to go higher on the omega-3 because it's more heart protective, whereas the other fats can be actually damaging to your heart if you eat too many of them. So, but a lot of nuts and seeds will be higher in the omega-6. So as far as the plant-based options, it's flax, it's hemp, and you want chia, yeah, not avocado. Avocado is omega-6 and 9. Walnuts, that's it. So those are the 4 that are really high. Of course he knows. He wrote a whole book on all this stuff. So very good. So those are the 4 that you always want to keep on hand and kind of try and, so if you're going to have a salad and add nuts to it, which one are you going to add? Walnuts, maybe. That's a good idea. So yeah, and if you want to add something to your smoothie to add a little protein, what are you going to add? Hemp seeds, or chia seeds, or flax. All right, so the hemp seeds are, the difference between those 3 is hemp seeds are very creamy. They don't necessarily thicken your smoothie as much. They're almost, because there's hemp milk, and it's just really just water and hemp seeds blended. And then there's these are thickeners, because flax seeds and chia seeds can also help to what? Bind your foods, right? Become like eggs. So for people who are completely plant-based, that was something I learned really early on, was okay, how am I going to take my recipes and adapt them over to be plant-based? Because there's no eggs in my refrigerator anymore, right? I stopped buying them. So then what am I going to do? Well, you start looking at recipes, and a lot of them will say take flax seeds and mix them with water. And so the ratio is one tablespoon, right, to 3 tablespoons water. So 1 tablespoon of ground flax or chia, and just put it in a little bowl and mix it with water. If it's something that's already got a lot of water in it, the vegetables and things are kind of chopped up, a lot of like veggie burgers, when I add a lot of veggies to it or some kind of sauce, I'll just skip that step. Even if the recipe says to, I'll just go ahead and just throw it right in. Just throw it in to your batter. If it needs a little more water, you can always add it, but some of the things you don't want to have too much water. So that's just tricks you learn when you start cooking and eating this way. All right, so a couple tablespoons, just gonna guess here, flax, blend it in. It's optional. This is what I use to actually make yogurt in my Instant Pot. It's called Multidopolous. So it's acidophilus, right? People have heard of that. But this is a probiotic powder. So you can actually just get it not in the capsules, but as a powder. And then you can just kind of take like a teaspoon for, it's a teaspoon for a quart of soy milk. So for making like 4 cups of yogurt, you can use a teaspoon. And you can add it here. We're not going to be fermenting this. But if you want that, if you feel like, okay, I'm eating yogurt, I want those probiotics, that's what I'm used to, you can always add, you just buy these. There's no trick to it, right? I mean, if you think these manufacturers are doing something special, what they're doing is adding this to their products. You can add this to your food. Yeah. They might be, or they're letting it sit, and but it also, just adding it is going to be like a supplement. But of course, if you let it sit and proliferate through, it's obviously going to multiply, and then you'll get more. So that's the way that works. But you can always just add a little bit. I found that when I add it to like mayonnaises I make, or just sour creams, things like that. I make all my own products like that, keep them in the fridge. When I add a little bit of this, I feel like it's the good bacteria outweighing the bad bacteria, and I'm going to talk about that more in our presentation, but I feel like there's a good balance going on in your refrigerator and can actually make it last longer. So I don't know, it's a good thing to keep on hand, just an idea, not totally necessary, might be above what some people want to do, but so for this, I'll just go ahead and add, I already added a little to your sample, but just, in this amount, you might add like a teaspoon of the probiotics. All right, so then we're gonna go ahead and blend. So this is a Vitamix. Anybody have a Vitamix out there? Yep. Vitamix, yep. They're on the Blend Tech team. Yeah, I like my Vitamix, but this one actually was donated to me because I teach the classes through the PCRM with the physicians committee. So, and I have my own at home, and I've had it since 1990. I'm not kidding. The thing still is a machine. It works great. I've tried to break it so many times and I haven't been able. So you can see the consistency is kind of runny still. Actually, I forgot I had this. I'll just put it in this. You can, so this should sit a little while, but if you want it thicker, you can always add more. Just stir in more of the flax, yeah, or chia. Anybody made chia pudding before?
No.
Yeah, that's really super easy. That one you can make it with the ground chia or the whole chia seeds. I just love food and experimenting. So, so this I let sit overnight, and in the morning, if you want to, you can still add more flax to it. Flax is so healthy. Why not, right? The only thing that could happen is it can detract from the flavor if you add too much, because it's fibrous, it gets in the, you want to balance it. So flaxseed meal is the same thing. That's what they call it as a product. But I actually recommend that you blend your own because you don't know how long it's been sitting there. Those omega-3 oils, although they're really wonderful, they are unstable oils. So I recommend that you don't buy hemp seed oil or flaxseed oil and keep it in your refrigerator, because I used to do that for a while, and it just goes bad too fast. And it's also processed, and right, it could easily go rancid. And that's why you want to keep your ground flax seeds in the refrigerator. If you do buy them already ground, put them in the freezer right away. But for me, I just blend about a week's worth every week or so, which means it's probably about like that much, maybe a 2-cup or a 1-cup jar, and I just keep that in my refrigerator. If you don't think you're going to use it that much, you can put it in your freezer, and it's still going to be fine. Absolutely doesn't become solid or anything. So, my Vitamix. Yeah, I always am like, oh darn, I want to grind and then it's wet or whatever. So I use it so much. Yes. So what do you use the flax for? What else? That's a good question. What I do is I try to get it in the morning somehow, whether I put it in my oatmeal. Like I said, I'm not that big of a breakfast eater, but my husband is, so I'll make him like a bowl of oats and just put some flax on that. But a lot of times I've been moving towards making my own hemp milk. So that's how I'm getting the omega-3s there, and it's a good source of plant-based protein too. But of all the omega-3s though, flax is the champion. Flax has the most, I think. And then I think it goes chia. and then hemp, and then walnuts, I believe. I don't know. I don't feel it's necessary really to nickel and dime ourselves, but it is good to know about that, and this to try to incorporate those heart healthy omega-3 foods into your plan. Any other ideas?
Well,
Well, you know, put in cookies, you can put it in burgers, but
yeah.
it's small
Most
amounts.
dessert, like I make sometimes any type of dessert, I put that. It's really good.
Mhm.
Any type of dessert.
Yes, use it. It's just you're not getting a lot that way. This is the way to actually get a lot. Yeah. But I think that, you know, just to make sure you're getting it, you can put it in your smoothies. You can put it in, like I said, sprinkle it on your oatmeal or on your cereal in the morning. I have all different ideas for how to make those morning bowls. You know, simple ones that are just, you know, throw together. A lot of people are in a hurry in the morning. They want to just get on to whatever next they're doing. So overnight oats is a great idea. Things like that, you know, you can do overnight oats with hemp milk, and then also sprinkle a little flax on it.
Muffins,
Yeah, muffins. Yeah.
Almost everything.
But a quick instant pot?
I mean, sorry.
Yes. Does what, Lynn? Oatmeal. Yes. So, right. You can do that. You can make it overnight.
The steel
Yeah.
cup. The steel cup needs that. Yeah.
Still cut overnight. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, so this is what we've made. So you can see that it kind of has the consistency already, because I used of course the strawberries had been sitting since this morning and thawing out. So, but this is good for a couple of days in your refrigerator. And we're serving it with Love Granola. So I recently connected with Megan, who's not here today, but she donated granola to all of us. And we're gonna have it on our yogurt here, and then you guys have a little packet in your goodie bag. And I just think it does amazing things to a plain oatmeal, having some granola on hand. And it's really good to find a good quality one. What I like about hers, and what I make by myself too, is that it's oil free. So there's no oil in here, and it's processed sugar free, because a lot of it is super sugary, super sweet, super oily. And you think of it as like a healthy thing, like granola has been around for so long, but then they've kind of adulterated a little bit with too much stuff. So I really look at the ingredients when you're buying it, and you can find out from her on her website. No, I think she's just right now. You can email her or follow her on Instagram, follow her on Facebook, and she's it's just brand new, and really wanted to support her business too. So yeah.
And she's really nice. She's
Yeah.
really, really nice.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. I met her through the Vegan Business Exchange here in San Diego that is pretty active. And a great way to start your businesses, and it's such a great lifestyle and great community, and so I'm glad that we all came together today. And again, thank you guys for inviting me,
Thank you.
helping me be part of this. So
Hey.
yeah, so you get to try it.
There's spoons over there. Maybe we could.
I got spoons
We have
here.
spoons? Oh,
Yep.
you come prepared.
Yep. Well, then those spoons can be for soup or whatever, but we'll put them over here. So yeah, you guys can have a little taste and see what you think. Put a little slice of banana on it too.
Need help serving it?
Sure. Let me get these. I want to get these big ones out of the way.
Well, do you avoid plastics?
I try, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, I teach a lot, and I'm in the, serving a lot of food, and I just feel really bad about throwing away all that. This is great garbage. Yeah, you can, we can just set them in here and let them soak in all
Right. You could wait.
I'm not afraid of dishes.
I think people are similar to me. On second thought, Don is leaving. Bye now. And I don't know how to dance. Oh, talking about, okay, sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Woo.
so let's see, we've had a delightful introduction by Joy to the topic of mindfulness. Remember, you still mindful? Yeah, okay. And then we had a nice snack, thanks to Tracy. That was great. And we've gotten our exercise running back and forth.
So I think maybe you're sufficiently warmed up to listen to our presentation. Yes.
We've reserved a few minutes for questions at the end, and if you have any questions during the presentation, just jot them down on your note.
And by the way, we forgot to mention, if you do have cell phones, just put them on silent mode, just in case. Yeah. They have to go off.
Have it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
So in your goodie bag, there's a resources sheet with a lot of the ideas that we're going to be talking about in this presentation and a lot more. It's a double-sided resource sheet.
It's called resources, so because it's got websites and things you can look up and find more information.
So it'd be easy to know what it is because it's called resources.
Right. Our topic today is plant-based healing. A plant-based diet is great, but be aware that it might have some unexpected side effects.
We're just saying.
Not to worry, there's a pair of garden pruners in one of the auction baskets, in case you need to prune any unwanted growth. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, David.
Welcome. So why eat a plant-based diet? We'll discuss other reasons later, but one enormous reason is that the typical American diet is making us sick.
Many of us are so entrenched in our traditional diets that we don't even stop to think about other ways of eating or the consequences of what we eat.
And there are huge consequences.
86% of the $3.6 trillion spent on healthcare in the US is for treating chronic diseases.
The American Heart Association recently confirmed that about 48% of the US population suffers from at least some form of cardiovascular disease.
And it's predicted that half of all Americans will be diabetic or pre-diabetic in the next 10 years.
And obesity is running rampant. There are definitely medical causes of obesity, such as hypothyroidism, but that doesn't account for the runaway numbers we're seeing.
More than 2 in 3 adult Americans are considered to be either overweight or obese. And obesity has tripled worldwide since 1975, which is about when I graduated from high school. Well, that was a long time ago. But it does have huge health consequences.
So why are all these chronic diseases getting worse instead of better?
As Dr. Michael Clapper, who's actually one of our friends, he often says it's the food. It's been the food all along. And we need to figure out how to escape from the inferno of chronic disease that's sweeping through our population.
All it takes is a shift of perception to see the situation from a different point of view.
That's why David and I are here today to share a different point of view about food so you can find your own pathway to health.
Just steer clear of angry vegetables along the way, and you should be fine.
So a little bit about our background. We met in July of 1989 when we were like 3 years old, right?
That's almost 30 years ago now,
Wow.
lady.
Yeah, okay. So, and after muddling our way through some other relationships, we are really grateful that we found each other.
Yes. I'm David. I retired from a career as a full-time college math professor in 2012, but I still teach at least one online class each semester. I also enjoyed an avocation as a digital artist, displaying at Art Walk in Little Italy for many years and displaying around my house as well. At home, I'm the head chef, devoted gardener, and intrepid landscape architect.
And oh, by the way, David has written 12 books and manuals, mostly about printers, word processing, desktop publishing, graphics, and sound, most before I met him.
Right.
But his latest book, The Handbook to Higher Consciousness, is on how to transition to plant-based eating. And you'll hear more about this book as we go on, and you'll get a copy of it as well.
Right. And Tracy Childs, who's pictured up in the upper right corner there, contributed over 100 recipes to the book. And as you found out from her presentation in there, she loves food. And she's a mover and shaker in the plant-based movement in San Diego. And she's still got one more presentation she'll be giving us later today.
So, and I'm Donna, you know that. I've enjoyed a variety of careers, including counselor, acupuncturist, and more recently, author and lifestyle coach.
Obviously, she enjoys helping people. And Donna's first bestseller was I'm Still Alive, Now What? It's about how to survive and thrive after a life-changing event. And here she is with her mentor, Jack Canfield, the chicken soup for the soul guy.
He's written the foreword to both my printed books.
Her other books are Handbook for the Compassionate Ones and Turbocharged Vision Boards. She's also currently writing a book about her unusual approach to cancer recovery. Donna was diagnosed last year with stage 4 cancer. That's not something you want to take lightly. As reported in the Clinical Journal of Oncology, the average 5-year survival rate for all stage 4 cancers is only 2.1%. We just found that out recently, and that's pretty shocking.
So in dealing with stage 4 cancer, I've used a lot of different ways to heal. And my unique approach to healing includes a lot of plant-based eating and also integrative medicine. And I'll describe later how plant-based eating is helping to fuel my recovery. So let's go back to when we started, which was before I got my diagnosis, almost 7 years ago now.
Right. We started our plant-based journey kind of unexpectedly in 2012 when a colleague challenged me to watch the documentary Forks Over Knives. Some of you know that? Yes. Several, okay. This colleague had transformed herself, losing well over 100 pounds during the previous year, so that got my attention.
So the central theme of this documentary is to use food as medicine. That is, eat healthy food with a fork, so you don't have to go under the knife.
All right. That's the idea. Donna and I found the documentary on Netflix and watched it that very night. The film reveals that most of our chronic diseases can be controlled and even reversed by avoiding animal-based and processed foods. It showcases groundbreaking research that establishes an undeniable link between what we eat and our health.
The message of the film was so compelling that we decided to change our eating habits pretty much on the spot.
On the spot. Neither of us wanted to deal with the same afflictions that had plagued our parents. Our parents suffered from high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and even dementia. So we embarked on a new path of healthier eating. And I don't have dementia yet.
Not that you know of.
Right.
So after we decided to change our eating habits, David did a tremendous amount of research on the nutrition factors and health benefits of plant-based eating. He even completed the certificate program for plant-based eating through eCornell. Seeing his passion and knowing that he's such a great educator, I strongly encouraged him to assemble his research into a book. I was kind of like, you have to do it, you have to do it. We're learning so much, you have to put it into a book.
So the book took about 4 years to complete, and it was published in December of 2017.
So the insights we gained over the last 6.5 years have changed our lives tremendously. It's as if we had blinders on before.
We were blind to the devastation of the environment caused by industrial animal agriculture.
We were also blind to the suffering of animals in the production of eggs, dairy, and meat.
We were blind to the powerful forces of the food industries and the government that collaborate to keep us eating the standard American diet, what we now call
the sad diet.
the sad diet. Most importantly, we were blind to the fact that what we were eating had a direct effect on our health, and that what most Americans are eating is the root cause of the chronic diseases that plague our nation.
Our eyes are now open to many new insights, and we'll share some of these with you. We're not going to present the whole book to you, but there is a book about it. So our hope is that armed with this information, you will make mindful and healthy choices every time you eat.
Let's take a closer look at the health situation in the US today. By a show of hands, how many of you know someone who suffered from heart disease, cancer, or diabetes? Almost everybody, or all three.
Well, you all know me, so. So it's not surprising. Chronic diseases are responsible for 7 out of every 10 deaths in the US, killing more than 1.7 million Americans every year.
Heart disease, cancer, and stroke alone cause more than 50% of the deaths every year, and the rates have increased dramatically since 1900.
So notice that heart disease in red increased from 12% in 1900 to 33% in 2010. Cancer in purple went from 6% to 32%. This information comes directly from the Centers for Disease Control. The rate of obesity has also increased from less than 12% in the 1960s to more than 35% of the population today, and it may reach 50% by 2030.
As a result, Americans are taking many medications to manage these chronic diseases. The amazing thing is that many of these diseases are preventable. Most people think disease is a result of bad luck, genetics, or simply a result of aging.
But it's rarely any of these.
It's
the food.
Take heart disease, for example. Donna's dad died of a sudden heart attack at age 58. He grew up in the South where they ate lots of fried foods.
Bacon grease in almost everything. And we also lost a close relative who was just about David's age recently to a sudden heart attack, just this past January.
Toby had been eating one of those high-fat diets, and suddenly he was gone. The typical Western diet is so full of animal products, saturated fat, and processed foods that heart disease has become our #1 killer. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Did you know that heart disease is pretty much entirely optional?
How can that be, Donna?
Well, there are numerous cultures around the world in which heart disease is virtually non-existent. It's not a genetic thing. These cultures are very diverse.
These populations don't have heart disease. Why? Because they thrive on whole food, plant-based nutrition without oil. Tracy mentioned that, without oil. No oil and plant-based, that's the key.
Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn has shown that you can not only prevent heart disease with diet and modest lifestyle changes, you can in fact reverse it. Yeah, that's right. You can literally reverse heart disease with diet.
So this slide shows a close-up of a diseased artery on the left. On the right, you see that very same artery completely recovered in 32 months due to eating a no-oil, plant-based diet, even without cholesterol-lowering drugs. Your body has amazing healing powers if you just feed it the right fuel.
And the same diet that reverses heart disease can also stop a host of other maladies, such as those listed on the screen, and many more. But very few people know about it.
Instead, Americans are eating a diet that promotes chronic disease, which necessitates the use of prescription medications to deal with the symptoms, not to cure it, to deal with the symptoms.
It makes you wonder how all this came about.
I'm wondering.
David, tell us.
There are several key factors that contributed to the development of our current Western diet and the associated chronic diseases. Government subsidies, processed foods, fast food, and even advertising.
These 4 factors, along with a few others, strongly influenced the eating patterns that emerged in America during the 1900s.
You know the ones: turkey for Thanksgiving, eggs for breakfast, milk for our babies' bottles, and ice cream for dessert. These traditions were handed down to the next generations as if they were the natural order of things.
When we follow these traditional eating patterns, it fills the coffers of big money, but in fact, it is injurious to our health.
And it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to be captive to our eating habits. We can make choices to counteract the ads, counteract the temptations, and counteract the unhealthy traditions by educating ourselves about nutrition and finding healthier ways to eat.
So Joy's presentation today was about mindfulness, and we really want to encourage all of us to be mindful, make conscious choices when we eat, as well as when we plan our family get-togethers.
Every meal involves a choice, whether to eat based on outdated habits or to eat for greater health.
So what does healthy eating really look like?
Researchers know more today about nutrition and human health than at any time in history, and yet most of us are more confused than ever. First, we hear that fat is bad.
Then we hear butter is back.
We hear that eggs cause high cholesterol.
Then we hear they don't.
What are we to believe?
The food industry actually wants to keep us confused because in a sea of confusion, people just go back to their old bad eating habits.
However, recent medical science is quite clear. Most research organizations in the world encourage us to eat fresh, whole, plant-based foods.
So there's this titanic battle between current research and the status quo. Research shows that there are undeniable health benefits of eating plant-based whole foods, and yet there are the forces that want to keep us eating the standard American diet.
You mean the SAD diet?
Yeah, of course I mean the SAD diet.
This is not the first time this has happened. Look what happened with smoking in the last century. The preponderance of evidence showed that cigarettes were not healthy, yet the tobacco industry vigorously denied it, and the American public bought it.
This smokescreen lasted for decades until the scientific evidence finally won out, and the American population made a major shift away from smoking.
And here we go again. We have mounds of scientific evidence that the consumption of animal products is incontrovertibly linked to disease.
Yet big money interests are conjuring up another smokescreen.
The meat, dairy, and egg industries are pulling out all the stops to keep us confused and eating their products, regardless of the consequences to our health. It's the money.
So it's time for another major paradigm shift, this time in American eating habits. Americans must make a change, actually people around the world, not just Americans, despite the addictive nature of animal products and the powerful economic forces promoting their use.
We're confident that the scientific evidence will eventually win out, just like it did with smoking. There are signs that change is already underway. Google searches show that interest in veganism is spreading rapidly. Vegan food is set to be a top trend in 2019, according to Uber Eats.
It's easier than ever to adopt a plant-based lifestyle. Plant-based alternatives are showing up in supermarkets and restaurants alike.
A few years ago, there were only a handful of vegan-friendly restaurants in San Diego. Now there are dozens of them. And you've already received an electronic version of that list.
So here's more of my cancer story. I'm standing in front of you today, extremely happy to be alive, full of gratitude. So rewind to last June. You need some water or something?
I can't get the bottle.
Oh,
I just opened.
Oh, there we go. It's nice to have friends. So June of last year, June 25th, so it's almost been a year since my diagnosis. I got a call from my gynecologist, and I still remember hearing her words. The biopsy was positive, and we discovered that you have cancer. And really, my world just stopped. The rest of what she had to say was just lost in a blur, and I did have the wit to ask her what the official diagnosis was, and I wrote that on a scrap piece of paper, and you can see, but you can tell by my handwriting how unsettled I felt. Usually I have pretty good handwriting, but it was endometrial adenocarcinoma, which is basically uterine cancer. And I had a kind of a golf ball size tumor in my uterus. So 10 days later, I was having a radical hysterectomy. And the hope was that they'd be able to remove everything. However, it wasn't to be. I was in the recovery room when I saw my son's distraught face. He said, "Mom, be prepared. The results are worse than we expected."
The surgeon came in shortly and told Donna what he had already told me and the rest of the family. The cancer had probably been growing for at least a decade and had spread beyond the uterus.
I can still hear his words, "You have stage 4 cancer." I knew enough to know that this was not good news. He wanted me to go into many rounds of chemotherapy as soon as I healed from the surgery. Luckily, I knew I had choices.
The surgeon and the oncologist were not very happy with Donna when she told them that we were researching other ideas besides full-on chemo. We knew that there are cancer-fighting foods and that cancer is not necessarily a death sentence.
And because of my background in Chinese medicine, we knew about other ways of healing. We had also watched documentaries like The Truth About Cancer and had heard many stories of people's recovery from cancer using primarily food as medicine.
Donna's healing plan included lots of juicing and healthy foods to flood her system with nutrients. She modified her diet to emphasize even more cancer-fighting foods.
With a lot of help from David. He would do a lot of juicing for me and I would force him down my throat. I'm just kidding. So I also made the bold choice to follow a unique path and use integrative medicine to heal.
Donna created her own treatment protocol that emphasized strengthening her immune system. She used natural substances such as mistletoe, along with some low-dose chemotherapy, acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, and supplements. She had the courage to totally eliminate all refined sugar, and she kept her body alkaline.
That sugar thing was difficult, but after about 3 days, it was fine. So I travel regularly to a cancer treatment center to obtain IV doses of natural substances such as mistletoe, vitamin C, some homeopathic things, and even some very low dose chemo. So here I am in one of the treatment rooms with my IVs. Another key element to my healing was gathering a support team around me. In addition to the medical professionals, the team included David, of course, my sisters. My sister Lynn is back there today. My extended family, my friends, and I was placed on numerous prayer lists. And many of you here today have been part of my support team, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you
so much.
The results of this integrated approach have been successful. The latest scans show reduced tumor size, and the blood work shows less tumor markers.
So I'm on the road to full recovery, and I really have so much gratitude. And I really don't want to be part of that 97% of stage 4 cancers that don't make it past 5 years. And I actually want to work toward increasing the percentage of people that that do recover. So I'm on a mission now. So I continue to use food to keep cancer at bay. Luckily, these same foods also protect against other major chronic diseases. And I hope you consider adding more of these foods so you can do the same. The list is also this list is also on your resources sheet.
We've learned that cancer cells are constantly being created in our bodies. Fortunately, a healthy immune system will kill the cancer cells. It's crucial to eat plant-based foods to nourish your gut microbiome, which supports your immune system. Feeding the healthy bacteria in your digestive system with plants creates the optimal environment for your immune system, which then keeps the cancer cells in check.
And variety is a key to getting a balance of nutrients. So the acronym GBOMS, coined by Dr. Joel Fuhrman, Tracy talked about him earlier, it's a handy way to remember the most nutrient-dense foods.
GBOM stands for greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. Every one of these is in the list because they're cancer-fighting, health-promoting foods.
G is for greens.
Are we on Sesame Street?
So leafy greens help your body produce nitric oxide, which is critical for optimal heart health and artery health and heart health. And some of our favorite leafy greens include
Bok choy,
Swiss chard,
kale,
collards,
beet greens,
mustard greens,
turnip greens,
cabbage,
Brussels sprouts,
broccoli,
cauliflower,
cilantro,
parsley,
spinach,
arugula,
and
asparagus.
we don't eat that very often, but sometimes.
B is for beans. The beans category represents all legumes, including lentils, beans, and peas. Beans are sources of protein, iron, and zinc, as well as fiber, folate, and potassium. Eating beans, peas, or lentils at least twice a week has been shown to decrease colon cancer risk by 50%.
O and M are for onions and mushrooms. Onions represent the allium family, which includes garlic, leeks, and onions.
Garlic is often listed as one of the best cancer-fighting foods. Onions and mushrooms contain certain protective phytochemicals that are not found in other foods.
So don't sell them short. For example, one study showed that women eating an average of 1 mushroom a day had a 64% lower risk of breast cancer.
B is for berries. Berries provide antioxidants and fight cancer. Our favorites include acai berry,
Indian gooseberry,
blackberry,
blueberry,
cranberry,
boysenberry,
goji berry,
strawberry.
and raspberry.
S is for seeds and nuts. Seeds and nuts make a delicious snack, and they're nutritious as well.
Just a quarter cup of nuts a day may add years to your life. Walnuts have among the highest antioxidant and omega-3 levels, as well as cancer-fighting ability.
Flax seeds, we're repeating some of what Tracy said earlier. Flax seeds have amazing healing properties, and we eat at least a tablespoon of ground flax seeds every day. And if you do, your body will thank you for it.
S is not for spices and herbs in the GBOM system, but it could be. The flavor compounds in spices and herbs are powerful antioxidants. Turmeric, for example, may arguably be the spice with the most healing power, but other healing spices include ginger, amla, peppermint, oregano, cilantro, and cloves.
And by the way, many of these spices and herbs are used as remedies in Chinese medicine.
Somehow, Dr. Fuhrman also forgot grains in his cute little acronym, GBOMS, but we didn't. So G is also for grains, preferably whole grains.
Whole grains have many natural compounds that have been shown to lower cancer risk, and these are dietary fiber, antioxidants, phenols, lignans, and what do you say that?
Saponins.
Saponins.
So you could consider an expanded acronym to be GGBOMS. And you heard it here first.
So choose a variety from the GGBOMS list. Also be careful when buying foods on the dirty dozen list. These foods are particularly susceptible to contamination from pesticides and other toxins.
Be sure to buy organic selections of the food on the Dirty Dozen list whenever possible. Don't worry about reading the list on the screen right now, unless you're a speed reader. They're included in the handout in your goodie bag.
Another important shopping guideline is to eat the rainbow. Choose the most colorful fruits and vegetables. The pigments give the plants their colors. They're called flavonoids, and they're in the most colorful foods and provide tremendous nutrition.
You don't have to think of a plant-based diet as restrictive. You don't eat less, you eat more. You just eat nutrient-rich foods. We now know that plant foods contain the most concentrated sources of nutrients that our bodies need to thrive.
Plant foods provide a plethora of healthy nutrients, such as antioxidants, phytochemicals, and the rest of the nutrients that you see on the screen.
Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit.
Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad.
Philosophy is wondering if that means
Ketchup is a smoothie?
eating a whole food plant-based diet can promote healing in a remarkably short time. Numerous documentaries show examples of that rapid healing. It's not surprising that a plant-based lifestyle can heal people so quickly. Recently, Dr. Dean Ornish and his colleagues demonstrated that gene expression could be turned off and on in a matter of months simply by changing diet and lifestyle.
In these studies, participants followed a plant-based diet and made modest lifestyle changes. The results were astonishing. In only 3 months, more than 500 genes that promote health were turned on, and hundreds of cancer-promoting genes were turned off.
This was an amazing revelation to us. It means that the genes that we inherited from our parents are not in absolute control. We can take charge. We can change how genes affect our health by simply changing what we eat.
And while you're taking charge of your health, remember to also strive for inner peace.
And mindfulness.
Some people ask if there's an optimal human diet.
Perhaps the closest thing is exemplified by people living in areas called blue zones, such as those identified on the map.
You'll notice that Loma Linda is the only blue zone in the United States. It's populated by, some of you probably know, Seventh-day Adventists who follow a predominantly vegetarian lifestyle.
People in the blue zones not only enjoy the longest lifespans on the planet, but they enjoy the most abundant health as well.
Many of these people live well into their hundreds and live healthy, active lives, even in their later years.
The common traits shared by the cultures living in the blue zones include a plant-rich and predominantly vegetarian diet with very little meat, dairy, or eggs, low rates of smoking, strong social and family ties, and enjoyment of consistent and moderate physical activity. This is definitely the kind of lifestyle that I strive to emulate. I want to play tennis and travel and enjoy my family, friends, grandkids for the next several decades.
You might even get some great grandkids. And this is the lifestyle that I pretty much have to follow as if my life depended on it, because it really does.
You may wonder if there is any room in a healthy human diet for animal products. We know that people in the blue zones do eat animal products on occasion, but in some areas it's quite rare.
For example, in the traditional Okinawan diet in the 1940s, people would eat about 1 3-ounce serving of fish a week. Meat was eaten even less often, and they might eat 1 egg every 2 months.
In fact, 85% of their calories, talking about the Okinawans, came from complex carbohydrates, primarily sweet potatoes, with about 9% of their calories from protein and a mere 6% from fat. So there's the sweet potatoes and rice.
By contrast, the average American gets 34% of their calories from meat, dairy, and eggs, while less than 6% of calories come from vegetables and less than 3% come from fruit.
That couldn't be much further from a Blue Zone diet.
There is strong agreement amongst informed researchers that people eating the Western diet would benefit greatly from eating more plant foods and significantly less animal products.
The bottom line is that you put diesel fuel in a gas burning engine, it fouls the engine. That's what we've been doing nutritionally. Eating meat and dairy products gunks up our systems.
On the other hand, whole plant foods are clean burning, and they're clean burning fuel that makes the engine run really smoothly.
This intrepid fellow proudly boasts, "I'm eating twice as many vegetables as I used to."
And his knowing partner says, yes, but 2 times nothing is still nothing.
Oh, it's a math thing.
Yeah.
I get it.
So just to clarify, healthy eating is not about perfection. Straying off your optimal food path on occasion is not a deal breaker. It's the eating choices that you make day in and day out and over time that will determine your long-range health outcomes. To quote this Ayurvedic proverb, when diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. When diet is correct, medicine is of no need.
I guess that's another way of saying let food be thy medicine.
Hippocrates.
One of the extra benefits of eating plant-based for your health is that every meal you eat also has a direct effect on the environment. It's like a free bonus.
A study recently published in the journal Science concluded that ditching or reducing animal products in the diet and in commodities is the single most effective way to reduce one's environmental impact.
For example, a person eating a vegan diet indirectly consumes 600 less gallons of water a day than a person eating the standard American diet. Think about that. You can do more for the environment by simply eating more plant-based meals than taking shorter showers, driving an electric car, or recycling.
Which are all really important things to do. Well, maybe not the shorter showers, but. And so once you decide to change, how do you go about it? What are the first steps?
In one sense, it's as easy as reaching for the non-dairy milk instead of a carton of cow's milk. God, that almost looks staged, didn't it? It's really that simple. Just grab the non-dairy alternative. That's how easy it is.
Or the black hand.
It was cold that day. Had my gloves on. So you can make the change instantly or over time.
We changed overnight after watching Forks Over Knives. We made the commitment and just figured it out as we went. For most people, it's probably easier to transition over time.
Either way, David's book is a great place to start. It features an entire chapter devoted to making the transition. It covers how to change your habits, preparing your kitchen, shopping, transforming your meals, and establishing a support system. It really covers all the bases.
Good recommendation, thank you. It includes in-depth information backed by 170 research citations and 165 flavorful recipes from super healthy to decadent.
There's even a chapter on cooking without recipes for those with an adventurous spirit. And David will do a presentation
About that.
this afternoon, I guess, yeah,
Mhm.
about how to do recipe-free cooking. And the resources, oh my gosh, recommended apps, books, blogs, websites, documentaries, social media sites, and more.
The good news about eating a plant-based diet is that you don't have to suddenly acquire a taste for folk music or start wearing tie-dye clothes. Okay.
Hey, but I like folk music.
Oh, sorry. Okay. You can. But the bad news is that you can no longer say cheese when getting a picture taken. So if you do want to make a gradual transition, just transform one meal at a time. Take the animal and dairy products in your pepperoni pizza and convert it to a vegan pizza. Replace the meat and dairy ingredients with plant-based alternatives. And then move on to spaghetti and tacos and whatever else. Yeah. Here are some other ideas for bringing more plants into your diet. Have a meatless Monday.
Try out a new vegan or plant-based restaurant.
Go to a Plant Diego event.
Try a 21-day kickstart.
Convert one of your favorite dinners into a delicious plant-based meal.
Take a cooking class. Talk to Tracy. Expand your culinary skills.
Or get one of the cooking classes, online classes at the auction.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, once you start eating more plants, it may alter your behavior just a little bit. Here we see a confirmed meat eater before his transformation on the left with Bob's Big Boy. Then we see the same person hugging the plant-based protein display at Target after he became enlightened. So that's one of the side effects.
So plant-based food is one thing. What about supplements?
Good question. It's pretty well established that if you eat a well-rounded whole food plant-based diet with a lot of variety, you don't need much in the way of supplements. However, vitamin B12 is an absolute must, and it's a good idea to get your vitamin D levels checked with your doctor and supplement if you're not getting enough sunshine.
And there's really a pretty thorough discussion of supplements in David's book in the section called Nutrition Essentials for a Plant-Based Diet.
Also, Dr. Greger at nutritionfacts.org has a lot of videos on supplements.
And that's on your resource sheet.
So making dietary and lifestyle changes can be unsettling, but it can also be liberating and provide you with a life of better health and vitality. Your health is worth the effort.
The best news is that you can totally manage the transition to fit your situation. You can go all in like David and I did, or you can phase it in over time.
The general healthy guidelines we've outlined today are a good place to begin. It's not about everyone becoming 100% vegan, which I used to think, but it's about eating more whole food plant-based meals, because that's what matters.
The more whole food plant-based meals we all eat, the better it is for our individual health, the planet, and the animals.
Absolutely. And it's never too late to start.
The sooner you start, the sooner you'll enjoy the benefits of more energy, improved brain function, and reducing your medications and more.
Take Ann Fraser, for example. She became vegan at the tender age of 95 after watching the documentary What the Health with her granddaughter.
Overcoming the habits of a lifetime means making changes. All it takes is seeing things from a different point of view.
Donna and I did it, and we're thrilled with the results. You can do it too. Refer to the handout in your goodie bag. It has plenty of resources that you can use to start your own plant food path.
As Virgil said, the greatest wealth is health.
So we have a few minutes for questions, or you can shoot us an email. Anybody have questions? Young lady in the front here.
We hear a lot about growing soy and how it's so contaminated. And yet so much of the vegan diet is based on tofu and soy. How do you look at that then? Because I
Go
think
organic.
no soy,
I mean,
no soy.
You're right. So a lot of soy and corn are GMO, and they're designed to take pesticides and stuff. And but a lot of that is fed to the animals, instead of being grown for humans. But there's also a lot of organic soy that's grown for human consumption, and it's not full of pesticides. So that's probably
So it's the organic.
the key. Yes.
And like we said before, one of our sponsors was San Diego Soy Dairy, and theirs is it's pure, it's organically grown. So and we don't eat a lot of soy, but when we do, we eat the organic kind. There's all kinds of other things you can eat for protein besides soy. So,
Can you, that one was fine, but for the next questions, can you repeat them?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
yes, sir. Joan?
I've heard a lot about not eating nightshade vegetables. Is there any truth in that, or is this something you should limit?
I don't know that research really, repeat the
The
question.
question is there any truth to not eating nightshade vegetables? I'm not an expert on that, but I think some of the people that promote that are.
Research doesn't really bear that out. I
Yeah.
know it's kind of a popular idea right now, but there's really no research that backs that up. It's kind of like the eating for your blood type. There was no research that ever validated that. So
Right.
there are popular things that it doesn't go by the research. So, but go to Dr. Greger. It's a free site, and you can enter anything, nutritionfacts.org, and you can either enter any words, and you could probably
Find
you
a
know,
video. About
find a
that.
video about
nightshade.
nightshades and see what he has to say. He's like a brilliant mind. He goes through all the research every year.
Greger.
Greger. Yeah.
GRE.
It's on
Just
yours.
nutritionfacts.org.
Yeah, and it's on your resource sheet too. And
Yeah.
so whenever we have questions like that, we go to Dr. Greger, and his mind is amazing. He can take a lot of medical research and information and condense it down for the lay people like us. And
Yes.
he's very, very knowledgeable. And it's all with scientifically based evidence.
Another thing you want to consider is who is telling you not to eat nightshades. So if you look at some of the different websites, you'll see somebody proselytizing like the high-fat diet, high-fat, low-carb diet, But if you look at their website, they're selling supplements. So they're trying to like drive you, whatever they say, they're trying to drive you to buy products. And they might have 3 mansions, So they're really like money driven.
And you
So-
also have to, you also have to look at, when you do look at research, see who's funding that research. A lot of times it's the pharmaceutical companies or the dairy, industry. So really you have to, think a little deeper when you're looking at research too.
Right. Okay, I think we're almost ready for lunch. I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about the silent auction. So you may have
Should we
noticed.
say goodbye to our online people?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Goodbye, online people. Thank you for joining.